Hello and welcome back to Series 4 of Kvikmyndapod, an Icelandic cinema podcast. I'm Rob Watts, and on this podcast I discuss 21st century Icelandic film with my good friend Ellie Cawthorne. It's Halloween and we're not missing the opportunity to get involved. While Iceland may not have a huge horror scene, we've picked two recent balls-to-the-wall B-movie horrors and had great fun watching and getting to grips with them. We begin with a festival favourite, at a guest house in a remote fjord for director Elvar Gunnarsson's singular basement demon comedy horror, It Hatched, in which Vivian Ólafsdóttir gives birth to an egg before everything gets even crazier. We then arrive back in the capital, Reykjavik, for Thirst, or Þorsti, from 2019, another horror comedy with buckets of blood that describes itself as the most badass gay vampire zombie splatter movie you will ever see. Ever. And I suppose that's probably correct. So, if you fancy a unique Halloween movie night in, then you can do worse than Kvikmyndapod's Icelandic B-Movie mashup. And just a quick content warning, there's a lot of gore in Thirst, so bear that in mind. Here's the chat.
Halloween.
Happy spooky season, Ellie.
Ooh, feeling spooky?
Yes, a little bit.
It's getting dark. The nights are clawing in. Well, that would be spooky, actually. The nights are clawing in.
Oh, God.
The sun is dripping. It's gone weird already. I'm so
what
sorry.
What on earth is going on? These films have warped our tiny little minds.
They really have.
Oh my God. But yes, you're right. It is autumn. It's getting on for Halloween and things are getting creepy. So we thought, why not do a B-movie horror episode?
Woohoo!
We haven't done anything like this before, have we?
Well, not an out-and-out horror, but we've done a kind of B-movie, Reykjavik whale watching.
True, that's probably the most mainstream horror film that Iceland had up to that point. These have done nothing to advance the cause. These films we're going to discuss today, they're very much B-movie. I feel like you could have seen Reykjavik Whale Watching Massacre at the cinema. These ones feel very much like grab some popcorn, grab a few beers, turn the lights off, have fun with your mates. Get silly. Yeah. So should we say what we're covering today?
Yes.
Go on then.
Now we've done the silly caveat, we can.
Yeah.
We're moving from intense, well, our usual offering of, cinematic, slow beauties to silly B-movies. But that's good. We're talking about It Hatched and Thirst.
That's right. Interestingly, It Hatched hasn't come out yet. So we are we're ahead of the curve here. This is a film and it hasn't come out, but it will come out. And when it comes out, this chat will hopefully have inspired you to go and watch it. Whereas Thirst is available to watch now, so get on it. Like we said, they're both B-movies and we're going to start with It Hatched.
Me and the missus, we're moving out to the countryside. To Iceland.
We're renovating.
It's a bed and breakfast kind of thing.
You gotta see this.
You just laid an egg. This is weird.
Yeah, but is it bad?
Probably.
He's truly beautiful. Ever thought about the possibility that this kid might be a devil?
Peter, you're starting to scare me.
You seem a little out of it, man.
I'm pretty creeped out.
We need to get rid of the kid.
Well, that's that.
Honey!
What's going on?
I-N-G-O.
Bingo.
It hatched. No, actually, it's not. It's. Which is the theme tune to the entirety of It Hatched.
It's hard to ignore that. The soundtrack.
Ostinato.
You know who composed the soundtrack?
Sigur Rós?
No, funnily enough, the director, Elvar Gunnarsson, who also did many other things on this film, include Write It and...
the rest. You always put me on the spot and say, go on then, do a synopsis. So I'm going to do the same to you. Catch you before you can get me. Go on, do a synopsis.
A synopsis of It Hatched. Okay. So there's a couple, an Icelandic couple, or Icelandic-American couple.
Yeah.
Hard to tell.
Who decide to speak English a lot of the time.
Mostly just speak English to each other, which is good for us because we don't have to think about reading, you know. But this young couple, something's going wrong with his sperm count, so he decides to move to Iceland and open a guest house with his wife.
I don't know if that's connected.
Oh, I don't know. It sounded like it might be. He was stressed, so he had low sperm count, so he wanted to go to Iceland to have a less stressful life, hopefully procreate.
But they chose the wrong guest house.
There you go, that's a synopsis, simple as that.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll give you a bit more. When they get to the guest house, he accidentally opens a portal to hell?
Possibly hell, who knows?
Just a hole in the ground where some creepy shit happens.
The end.
Yeah. It's called It Hatched, and we'll come to why it's called It Hatched
I
soon.
mean, this is a classic, isn't it, of the, like, body horror, pregnancy horror genre. There's definitely a word for the pregnancy horror genre, isn't there?
Probably.
Pregno horror. But anyway, it is just following a classic model of pregnancy horror.
Yeah, and like it clearly owes a debt to like every horror film ever. Like you can tick off on a list of like the top 100 horror movies that it's like been influenced by. You've got Rosemary's Baby.
I was going to say that first.
Oh.
Alien.
Prevenge.
The Omen.
Yeah, anything with a creepy kid or a baby, anything with demons. You said to me before The Descent.
The Descent.
Yeah, and there's a film just about to come out here called Barbarian, to which it bears a striking resemblance in plot terms, actually. Barbarian is incredible, so go and see that at the cinema. And this also reminded me of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, which is a spoof 80s horror TV show about a really badly made horror TV show from the 80s, influenced by most of the things we've just discussed.
In this B-movie scenario, can I take things highbrow for a second?
Oh, if you must.
And actually, I would like to call back another reference, which I feel it may be calling upon, which is Henry Fuseli's 1781 oil painting, The Nightmare.
Oh my
I don't know if
goodness.
you would care to look that up.
I'm going to look it up right now, actually. The Nightmare by Henry Fuseli.
Which is a famous painting.
Yes!
Yes, so it's a famous painting, everybody look it up, of basically a woman sleeping with an incubus on her, which is like a demon that sucks your... does something bad when you're asleep, I think, basically. Let's not go into that. And if you look in the background,
Yeah.
what do you see?
It's like a sort of demon horse thing.
A demon horse!
Oh my god.
There's like a creepy guy on top of a sleeping woman and a demon horse, which is a direct scene that we see in this film. Please tell me that whoever made this film has not seen this 1781 painting.
You hope the director hasn't seen the painting?
Well, no, I'm saying you can't convince me that he hasn't.
No, now you've shown it to me. I've seen this painting many times, did not pick up on that. Because you're right, just after the couple, Myra and Peter, leave for Iceland, although it's not actually quite clear whether he's told Myra that they're going and why they're going, he has a dream about his wife sleeping on the sofa in the living room. And then this is probably the most effective scene in the film, to be fair. It's just fucking odd. She's sleeping, and then there's this creepy fat man demon thing climbs over the back of a sofa, which is, to me, was reminiscent of Bob in Twin Peaks. So this demon's climbing over the sofa, and then randomly a horse head appears in the background.
Yes.
And Petter gets freaked out and wakes up.
Yeah.
I did not clock that.
There you go.
I'm impressed you've turned this
Bringing the
lowbrow
high
chat
culture into this chat.
Myra? What's for dinner?
Scoop.
Huh?
Well, it was a delicious casserole, but by now I waive all responsibility. Anyway, sit down and I'll get it.
Well, you wouldn't have blamed me for losing track of the time if you'd seen this case. And the way Hudson handled it. Fantastic. Now, here's this woman. Cracks her hip in an auto accident. Hip mends nicely. And then...
Myra?
In the leg, below the hip. Well, naturally, you look for nerve damage in the hip. It was...
Hi, honey.
Smashed, the nerves could have been injured.
I'm just gonna watch a little TV. I can't go to sleep. I have too much on my mind.
Now, do you realize the coincidence? Just that one area paralyzed below the damaged hip. And none of the usual signs of brain injury at all.
Honey,
What?
are you okay?
3 cheers. Great session. And I'm sure
What?
Dwayne Hudson will bring the way.
There's this old man.
Every second drenched in iodine.
But I agree that I think that was one of the most effective moments in this film. For me, the sequences that worked best, I would say, were probably the silent ones.
The silent one?
Yeah.
Why would you say
I
that?
don't know. But there were some kind of creepy bits. The bit where Myra gets presumably impregnated by a demon.
Yes, well, that's an interesting one.
Was
So
quite
what?
creepy.
So obviously, in my synopsis, I
Yeah.
didn't say what happens once they get to the guest house, but you're right. They're sleeping, and some invisible demon thing. This is after Petter opens the gates to hell or whatever is going on in the
I
basement.
mean, just never open the gate to hell.
It's not a good idea, is it? Even inadvertently, like there's a reason the basement was like full of all the furniture. You know?
It's a bit like actually your basement in this flat. It looks kind of similar.
Oh, do you think if I moved that canoe, I'd find a gate to hell?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh my god, maybe we should try it. I promise to act slightly more sane than Petter if we do that. Where was I?
Impregnation.
Impregnation.
Demonic impregnation.
So there's this scene, yeah, she's lying there in bed and an invisible thing causes her to orgasm. Is she enjoying it? It sort of feels like she is.
I don't know. I think she was just entered by a demon.
Okay.
And then the demon snuck away.
It was just sort of the natural rather than a
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh, I didn't like that.
I'm
but
I'm gonna take that bit out for sure. What this did remind me of was a film called The Entity, which is an incredible film from the 80s, starring Barbara Hershey, but is incredibly brutal. The soundtrack is amazing. It's a really, really underseen film, but it's absolutely amazing. And
I don't think you've sold it to me hugely there.
Well, maybe horror fans will know, and they'll know it's amazing. And yeah, you should check that out. It felt like an influence on this scene, but not to the kind of extremes of The Entity.
Okay, so give me your take. Are we doing a spoiler?
Yeah, this is spoilery.
Spoilery.
Yeah,
okay, so Myra gives birth to this. Well, gives birth to an egg. She lays an egg.
Yeah, very, very quickly.
Yes. Confusingly quickly, and it's an egg, which then hatches more. I'd be more concerned about the fact it's an egg than that it quickly appears. But anyway, and then this egg then hatches into a baby,
Yeah.
The baby starts growing up very quickly, as you say as well. But Peter, the supposed father of this baby egg.
Are you okay?
Myra, are you okay? So, but before any of this happens, he is like demented. Like when he's giving that, like crazed performance.
Let's talk a bit about the performances while we're here. My God, what? There are no words.
I don't even know what to say.
Peter is.
Oh, you're going for this.
I'm going to try.
Okay.
He seems like he's possessed.
Well, this is my question, okay? So I can't decipher this performance. Is it that he is like done a kind of is it all work, no play makes Jack a dull boy? He's gone crazy. It's all in his mind. She's just had a child and he's trying to kill this baby and he's lost his mind, which his demented performance would suggest. Or is it really an egg? Is it really a demon baby?
It's a demon baby. I'm not sure there's much subtext here.
I'm trying to read too much into this, aren't I?
I think so. It isn't The Shining. Again, we try to list out the influences, but there's a really obvious influence. They're a couple secluded in a guest house, and creepy shit happens, including wanting to kill his wife. I think he's a strange man. I think the performance may have been directed to be over the top. Everyone in this film looks out the top of their eyes, because if you look out the top of your eyes, it means something is wrong.
Crazy.
It's unique. We might as well name check the actors while we're here. Gunnar Christensen, he's not done a lot of acting work, but like something about this performance was what the director wanted, I assume. Who knows? But it is crazed. It's utterly just like over the top. And I don't have any other words.
I use the word crazed and also demented in my notes.
Demented's a good one.
I've also got more questions about what is actually happening here. So he opens the gates of hell, importantly.
Yeah, well, he opens some sort of
horrible portal.
Demon hole, yeah.
Demon hole and horrible portal both sum it up quite well. But inside said demon hole, horrible portal, which we presume the egg has kind of come out of in some sense.
Yes, something crawled out of that hole, went into another hole, and went back into its deep hole.
Oh God! But what? So in this hole is this weird, the man from the dream, right? That weird old. I don't even know how to describe him. He's like a prehistoric man. He does make me think of, in The Descent, the kind of what I have termed the Gribblies, which they're not called that in the film, are they?
That's definitely not the
name. In my personal life, I refer to the Gribblies, meaning
sure, scary as fuck those guys.
Those horrible Descent people. But the kind of idea of like they're drained of any colour. They're like pallid and flaccid and like just kind of gnarly. But is he like a prehistoric man? Is he a demon? Is he just like a man who's lived in a hole and never been outside?
He mostly looks like an old fat man with a big nose. It reminded me very much of The Baldy Man, if you ever saw that as a kid.
What's that?
It was like this comedy show about a big man with like lank hair, mostly bald, and he just used to run around and do weird shit.
I mean, it definitely plays on that trope of like crusty old person, you know, like fear of old people vibe.
Yeah, and that's why that sofa scene is so creepy, because you're just like, ugh,
yeah,
what the fuck? Why are you sitting on top of her like that? That whole thing made me, creep me out.
Did you take it that this old creepy gross man, is he the father of the egg child?
If it's anyone, it has to be him. We don't see any other kind of demons, I don't think.
So you're going for demons rather than like lost monster, like kind
I don't think they're
some freak of evolution.
No, I don't think he's sort of part of a species that's been living underground for centuries. Because the hole was covered by, and here we go, plot details. The hole was covered by a big old stone tablet with runes on it, implying that they're trying to keep something supernatural at bay.
Okay, fine.
And if they'd just been living down there, then why would he be supernatural?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from with the Descent comparisons, because you've got this freaky looking thing down in a hole that's mostly seen in a red light of a flare, which looks quite effective down in these caves with, just this one light source and a bit of smoke, and it's quite atmospheric. Most of the film doesn't take place down there though, and the colour of the film is quite off-putting, isn't it?
Bleached out.
It's got a colour filter or a grade all across it.
Do you know what? It makes me think of those films from the 2000s, like Memento, like Jar City.
Yeah, like things like Saw, like we discussed, like that had this real green tinge to the whole thing. It's a little bit like that. Mostly I'm not sure what the point of it was. It didn't really make it any more, I don't know, atmospheric or dread-inducing. When you've got a country as pretty as Iceland, you don't need to see the fjords under like a heavy blue grade. I'm not sure it added much to it, to be honest. Other than maybe disguising the low budget and the guest house not being a set, because it looks like it was a real house in the middle of nowhere, which is a great location for a film. You know, the cabin in the woods or in the isolated
trope.
cabin. Yeah, there's a reason these film tropes exist. So we get a lot of random shit going on in this guest house, including a doctor who seems very unconcerned that there's a baby just been born in a day that's hatched from an egg. Kind of interested in the runes, but
meh,
not really. I'm not sure what the point of him was.
Oh, it's one of those B-movie things where it's like, oh, you hatched from an egg? Okay.
Yeah, you just take it at face value, like we should. Just watch it, let it wash over you, and
relish the schlocky moments.
Yeah.
There's actually not much out-and-out gore here, unlike a film we're about to discuss.
No, there's not. We get a bit of sick, but that's sort of, straight in the loo. It's not... It's not spewing forth, it's not that kind of gratuitous...
Yeah, it's not that gratuitous, actually, is it, on reflection?
No. Let's talk about the ending. The ending that goes on and on and on.
The ending in the hole.
No, before we get there, the ending that ends in the hole but starts in the guest house and is essentially a chase scene where Pieter's like, come here, Myra. I'm not trying to kill you.
Oh, never fall for anyone who says, I'm not going to hurt you, in a voice like that.
No, absolutely not. Especially not this guy, although it's not really out of character for him, it seems. Yeah, so that final chase sequence is just a bit long, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got Myra running with the baby away from the guest house, down a hill,
back to the guest house,
across a field, across a lava field, through a forest, into a cave.
Out of a cave.
Out of a cave.
Back to a guest house, into a different cave. Is that right?
I think you've added more than there was.
I feel like with B-movies, my tolerance personally is about 65 minutes.
Yes.
And then it kind of start to taper off.
I think with a film like this that's like, influenced by so many great horror films, it's on a low budget, it's doing something, not necessarily hugely new, but it's trying. And you've got these just ridiculous performances, these really offbeat moments. I think narrow it down to 60 minutes or less, and it would have been much more. Punchier. It would have been much more of a punchier kind of
thrill ride.
Thrill ride is the term I was looking for, yeah. Whereas what we get is just a little bit too long. It's actually longer than the next film we're about to watch, which is kind of mad. But we should say, randomly, Halló guesthouse pops up.
Another demented performance, actually.
Incredibly demented.
What? What's happening?
She's in this film for 2 scenes. One of the scenes, she doesn't even face the camera for most of it. I love it. She's like wide, boggle-eyed, just like...
She's really chewing the scenery here.
Like, close the hole! And that's it. It's the entire role. Close the hole!
What I love is that she can go from like a kind of like award-winning... I don't know if she won any awards, but it was worthy of awards.
Sure.
In Woman at War and other films we've seen her in. And they go to this like complete other end of the spectrum. Obviously, she's embracing the spirit of the project here and just going bananas. But it's like so confusing.
Confusing is a word. We've not used that yet, but it is 100% confusing. But, you know, that's part of its charm, I suppose. Vivian Olafsdottir, who's our main female character, Myra, we've seen her in Cop Secret. I don't know what was going on with her performance here either. I was mostly put off by her glasses. Totally the wrong shape for her face.
Always at the end
Always
of
at
the
the end of her nose. Like, she was like, her performance was almost the same as Pieter's. I couldn't tell who was crazy. Because the thing she does, she gives birth to an egg that has a baby inside and seems to think that's the most natural thing in the world. Is she crazy? Is Pieter crazy?
I think they're both are.
I think we're all crazy. I think Elvar Gunnarsson is crazy. But I'm excited to see what he can do next, you know, building on this little B-movie. Ultimately, for some reason, Pieter gets trapped in the hole. Myra has, you know, escaped, locked him down there with the demons, and she's fucked off from the guest house. Cut to house in the suburbs of Iceland.
Yeah.
The performance hasn't changed. It's still absolutely mad. As she cooks up 2 single fried eggs for dinner.
Who needs anything more?
It's like, what? 2 single fried eggs? Oh my God, I made a really, really terrible meal when I worked on Eat Well for Less. And it somehow made it into the show, which was 2 fried eggs, 2 Linda McCartney sausages, and some beans. And
wait, that was on TV.
It made it on TV.
I mean, I've eaten that many times myself, but I wouldn't put it on telly as a recommendation.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
a meal.
And that was bad. Wasn't as bad as 2 fried eggs, 1 each. And the way that she eats them on that table. We're just eating a little bite of white. Anyway, she's going mad. And then her little son, who's now aged, what, like 7 or something? 5 or 6? I don't know. Something like that. And it's the kid from And Breathe Normally, the cute kid.
I didn't clock that at all.
I was like, I recognise that guy. I mean, he's obviously a bit older. But then he pulls this creepy face. I didn't think things could get much creepier. And his face just contorts like Aphex Twin style. Like, oh my God.
I love how that's like then meant to be the confirmation of, yes, he actually is a demon after all. And it's like, oh, well, we did see him hatch from an egg, grow at supernatural speed and like suddenly grow like a full head of hair with demons surrounding him. So I kind of had worked out that he was a demon.
Yeah, because it's not particularly subtle, is it, this film? It's not hiding any surprises.
That was a bit of a precursor to that film that's being trailed at the moment, Smile.
Smile, yes, very much. I saw that the other day, actually.
Was it any good?
It's not as good as I was hoping. In fact, it's not a recommendation from me. But also, don't get this confused with Hatching, the Finnish film, which has just come out, which I've yet to see, and I'm desperate to see. Anyway, it ends on that creepy note. And the best things about this film are the utterly kind of oddball, creepy decisions made. So it's certainly one to check out if you have a B-movie Halloween horror night, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kæri óhörundur, Stundin runnin upp. Undanfarið hefur verið illa tekið sér bólsvöld.
Hvað segir, hvað það að glápa á hérna? Nei, þetta est endalóki nálgast. Hún alveg kostuleg.
Láti gamla mannin vera. Ég þau til sjálfur og kreiki. Það getur verið hver sem I have arrived, my lord. The prophecy shall be fulfilled.
Það óöldin. Hún byrjuð.
Ég veit. Ertu tilbúin að deyja?
Hey! Hún tekur sér bólfestu hjá unga fólkinu fyrst.
Ertu ekki söng?
Hvert ert þú að fara? Þú ert að koma með mér heim í bað.
Þið eruð það menn að vera vitni að sögulegum viðburði.
Við mér bara sjáum þetta.
Right then, the second in our double bill of B-movie horror from Iceland is a film called Thirst, as we alluded to. Original title Þorsti, from 2019, directed by Gaukur Úlfarsson and Steinþór Steinþórsson, the latter of which we have seen a few times now, as your man from under the tree.
Oh, so he doesn't just star in this, he is a founding creator, is he?
Yeah, he's the director.
Okay.
Yeah, which is interesting. He does pop up as a undead character at one point.
I enjoyed his performance.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But before we go any further, shall I tell you what Thirst is about? As if you can't remember.
Please tell me.
Basically, it's about a drug addict called Hulda, who at the start gets accused of murdering her brother by overdose, but she then gets let off because insufficient evidence. Of course, she got nowhere to live because her mum was basically disowned her, and she ends up meeting a 1,000-year-old gay vampire. And then together, the two of them form an unlikely friendship, and, you know, shit goes down. People die, blood goes everywhere, crazy religious people try and do crazy religious things, and yeah, it's just a lot of death.
What I enjoyed about that synopsis is the first 3 lines of it sounded very much like some hard-hitting Icelandic movies we've watched before now.
Yeah.
Then it very much veered into a different direction,
which was that of the vampire movie.
Yes, the vampire movie, I'd say it's full-blooded. And I think this is a comedy B-movie, right? It kind of revels in its own silliness. It's actively silly.
For sure. This is out-and-out comedy horror. You could probably say there aren't really any genuine scares. Maybe a couple of jumps. But yes, you're right. I think it's definitely sort of leaning on the comedy of the horror. And that's to be expected because it comes from this comedy troupe called Leikhópurinn X. I've probably said that entirely wrong, who form most of the cast of this film, including our main vampire character, Hjörtur, who is played by Hjörtur Svair Steinason.
Oh, coincidence.
Yeah, as well as Hulda Lind Kristinsdóttir, who plays Hulda. You know, most of these characters have the same name as their actor counterpart. So it's probably quite easy for them on set, I imagine.
I mean, it really... The thing that this film really does, that the one that we just talked about doesn't, is that it is gory. Like comedy gore, silly gore, but like, whoa, people's heads are like chopped in half by somebody's hand. People's like jugulars are opened up like a water fountain. There's like blood there's so much blood that people are like soaked through, dripping with blood. People are dining on intestines. I'm not great with gore, so it wasn't.
I didn't realise that.
It was like a little bit of a stomach churner for me. But it was probably so preposterous, the gore, that then it goes into a realm of like not actually being upsetting in any way.
Sure, I mean, it's just so over the top. This isn't like, the blood isn't like pitch black. This isn't grotty and kind of grimy and properly like medical. This is just pantomime gore. So
pantomime gore, yes. I mean, there are far too many detached penises for my preference.
My original Letterboxd review of this was like, never seen so many detached penises ever. It's quite remarkable
in my personal or professional life.
Yeah, I didn't specify for good reason there, Ellie. But yeah, this is a film that makes choices. And I think most of them kind of work.
I feel like what people want from a B-movie is this level of shock and schlock.
Yeah.
It delivers on those fronts.
It does. It's a film for gorehounds. It's a film for people who love a vampire just, going around killing people. I mean, it doesn't do very much biting, I must say.
Well, biting of necks anyway.
I should be more specific. He doesn't bite necks. He mostly bites entire penis and balls and pubic hair.
Oh,
and just bites it right off.
It's really quite... There's a scene involving a hot dog.
Maybe let's just front load this chat with all the penis bits. Why not? That's what people want to hear about, right?
Well...
So let's go with the first major scene of the film, which you've already partly described.
Yes. So, well, actually, not knowing what I was going into watching this film, I was like, okay, this is kind of a little bit creepy, a little bit intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a very, I'd say, strong opening where there's a kind of a guy, I guess he's looking for a hookup, a man-on-man hookup.
Yeah, this is a family man, isn't it? And he's driven out to the middle of nowhere on the outskirts of Reykjavik.
Which seems like a kind of dogging scenario, but he doesn't know, unfortunately, that the person he's meeting with is, in fact, a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let you describe the rest of the scene.
I mean, he basically goes down on him and bites his entire cock and balls off. That's what you wanted me to say. You just didn't want those words to come out of your mouth.
Yeah, I didn't want to dirty my own mouth with those words. But, I mean, as an opening sequence, it's quite the one.
It's effective. We're introduced to our main characters and we're introduced to the tone and style of the film.
Yeah.
If you're not good with that, suggest not watching beyond that. There's a great shot just before the title card, which is Hjörtur just popping up, fangs out, penis in the mouth, and you're just like, yep, away we go.
That's the moment where you know what you're in for.
Yeah, if you don't like that, don't persist, I would say. But I imagine anyone going into this film will have some idea what it's about, and it's perfect for a kind of Halloween night in with your mates with a few beers. So we've got that scene, and we've also got the attack on Hjörtur by the most brilliant looking gang members I've ever seen.
No gang member has ever looked like that. Have a row of gold teeth and like a tracksuit.
Maybe this is what gangsters look like in Iceland in the 2010s, 2020s.
Well, they get some comeuppance, shall we say.
They sure do. Like, why are they attacking him? Homophobes? Old people phobes? Hard to tell. Ageophobes? What's the word for hating on old people?
Phobes. That's the one, yeah.
Okay. So they're attacking him. Two guys attacking him. Hulda, nowhere to stay. She's just wandering the streets. She spots them doing that and steps in. And she basically saves him to a degree.
So at some point during this film, I tried to elevate my analysis of this film.
Oh? Just like you did with It Hatched.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
And
Ellie.
I wondered, is this really a meditation on the dispossessed in Icelandic society? The addicts, which we know from our previous watching is a issue in Reykjavik. The homeless. Is it saying something about the stigmatization of gay men in Icelandic society? I was thinking about all these things, and then I just thought, nah, that guy's head just got sliced in two. This other guy's a water fountain of blood. I think I'm thinking too much about this.
Oh, but that's such a perfect time to be wondering about that stuff. You know what? I think you're right. I think to a degree that stuff does exist in there, but it's very much blotted out by the gallons of blood that are flowing. Because, yeah, like you say, he splits a guy's head open by putting his fingers in his skull and ripping it from side to side.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen... I've seen a head split in half before. I watch a lot of horror. I don't know if I've ever seen it, physically pulled in half. Is that possible?
No, I'm going to tell you right now, that's not possible.
Oh.
Do you...
Look good, though.
Well, he has the nails to do it with, I guess.
He does have those creepy long vampire nails.
There is nothing that sends shivers down my spine more than a creepy long, specifically in men, not a nice long painted fingernail of a woman, a creepy vampire's long fingernail.
Yeah, like a little drug.
Oh God.
Little finger, drug finger.
Oh no, just any long fingernail. No, especially long, sharp, pointy ones. Oh,
he's a vampire.
Yeah, I know. He's gross in many ways, so that's just the tip of the iceberg, isn't it, really?
I guess so.
But actually, weirdly, I quite liked his performance.
I thought he was quite...
likeable.
He was likeable. I almost said relatable. Didn't mean that. But yeah, he's a likeable, empathetic character. Like you say, the two of our main characters, Holder and Hjörtur, both have this kind of outsider loneliness theme going through their stories, and that's why they build this friendship.
And he's, I guess, at the closest we have to a protagonist.
Yeah, him is the main character on the poster, so one assumes he's the main protagonist. Not that you really follow anyone's story to a satisfying end. But yeah, I think he was great, even as he's splitting people's heads in two.
I'd be intrigued to see him in a different format, actually, in a serious film.
I wonder if he does that. I've not seen anything by the comedy group because it's hard to find their stuff translated into English. But if it exists, someone let me know, because I'd be really keen to see how well it translates and see these actors in their kind of original setting. But that scene ends, talking of comedy, with two dicks in two police officers' mouths.
Hvað höfum við hér? Litla hetju? Lítil kisa reyna að vera ljón.
Skerðu lokkinn á henni.
Haltu fokkin kjafti, maður. Ég sker á henni lokkinu í öðra. Ertu í alvörunni tilbúin til að deyja fyrir þetta frík? Ert þú kannski frík líka?
While all this stuff is happening, people are, mostly young men, are going missing from Reykjavik, which is quite bad. People are dying, and the police are on the case, led by a guy I thought was a priest. Jens? Is he a priest?
I
or
don't think
police
he's a
officer?
priest. He's a police officer, but his wife is a kind of religious fanatic.
Yeah, but at the beginning,
He
I
does
could have
look
sworn he was wearing a collar.
He had like, I think he's got like not a rosary, but a kind of like cross, right?
Oh yeah,
like a kind of
maybe
priest
that was what I
necklace
was
thing.
thinking. Okay, well, anyway, he's the most unlikable man.
Oh yeah, it's weird because usually, I guess in this scenario, the cop, he's essentially like the Van Helsing, isn't he? Right? If this is
sure
a vampire story, you'd kind of be on their side, but here I was like, I hate this guy. Get the vampires winning.
Yeah, I mean, there were multiple better police officer characters. They're not better police officers, but they're better characters. We've got the two comedy cops who get the dicks in their mouths, one of whom I just recently saw in Entrapped, Haraldur Stefansson. He's sort of the younger one of the two. And they don't do a lot. They just kind of act stupid and inept. They're inept, aren't they? And they don't really do anything. They provide a bit of humour as we go through. And yeah, they're the ones that get the dicks in their mouths anyway. So, ha 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 ha.
I would say that the performances in this film are varied.
Very much so.
Some seem like even our main vampire dude, kind of nuanced and quite well judged.
Kind of subdued. Like he's got a lot going on behind the eyes, hasn't he, really?
Whereas others, maybe Jens falls into this category, are more like it hatched B-movie performances.
Over the top and just plain weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I agree. So that scene happens anyway, and we move on, and slowly Jens's wife is becoming a cult leader, trying to get people to join her cult for reasons that aren't really made clear. Something's going to happen, and they should all look out for themselves by joining her.
Classic cult.
Great scenes of her on TV screens in shopfront windows, which is a very kind of horror kind of trope. People spotting these newscasts on TV while they're out and about. But let's just talk about the next grim scene, of which I would say there aren't enough. You said it was gory and schlocky, but to my mind, there are only really 3, maybe 4 scenes of outright gore, and I wanted more. But anyway, turns out Hulda's brother who died can be resurrected by a vampire. Hjörtur.
Hey!
So he goes and does that.
I enjoyed this thread, to be honest. I thought I was involved here.
Yeah?
It was funny. It was quite thrilling.
It was quite funny to watch Hulda's reactions. They unexpectedly find her zombie brother in the back of a car. My question is, and you probably won't be able to answer this because it's not explained in the film, if a vampire brings someone back from the dead, which I'm not sure is a vampire trope, a part of the lore of vampires, typically they'll either kill or turn while the person's alive. I'm not sure how that works with dead people. But they wouldn't bring him back as a zombie.
No, he's not I don't think he is a zombie.
Oh.
So, I think I can answer you this actually.
Ooh.
Which is, I think if you're turning someone, right, then like you say, you're getting them fresh.
Yeah.
So you're either killing them, sucking all their blood, goodbye, see you later.
Mm-hmm.
Turning them, sucking all the blood, turning them into a vampire. Or, I guess this third option, doing something to this guy. But as he said, to bring him back. But as he said, he's been dead a couple of weeks or whatever, or a few days. So he's already on the turn, not turning to, he's already on the turn as in like...
Rotting.
He's rotting, he's going off. So he's already lost a bit of his freshness.
Sure.
So that when he's transformed into a vampire, which I think he is, he's eating... Like, he's drinking the blood of that young boy that's brought him.
Played by Blair Hinrichsen.
Yeah, good to see him back.
I know. Like, exactly as the character you would kind of expect. Like, the absolutely handsome, beautiful young boy. The prime object of kind of...
affection.
Yeah.
So, I think he is a vampire, but he's just a kind of decaying, rotted vampire.
Okay, that does make sense.
Yeah.
I just don't think I've ever seen that before, which is quite remarkable, actually. So fair play, Thirst. Good work. Breaking boundaries. But yeah, that scene is funny. Like you said, it's a great performance as the zombie vampire.
Yeah.
And then it's blood. Blood.
So much blood.
So much blood. And bits of sick. And that's fun. That's really fun. I really like the moment when Hjörtur is just watching the young boy from afar at the gas station. I thought that was really really well shot.
Yeah.
And it was a moment of calmness and an insight into Hjörtur's character in the midst of just the absolute carnage and craziness that's going on. Where we see, he's a lonely old man. Okay, he's still got designs on a young man, but he feels something for them. Like, it must be hard to feel for anyone when you're lonely, secluded, lived for 1,000 years. And I just thought it was really well put together, that scene. And if you like Blyer Hinrichsen, probably going to like the shots of him standing at a gas station.
It's worth mentioning, isn't it, as well, that it has this kind of seedy 80s inflection.
Yes.
Kind of like It Follows, or Stranger Things, of this kind of neon lights, burgers, stalls, petrol pumps.
It's 100% going for something like that. Yeah, and it's very kind of popular since probably like Drive, I guess, onwards. Still going. And it is it's less in your face than It Hatched with its colorization, but it creates a nice mood, and even the music is quite 80s. It's got this basically just the one song or the one theme. It's so 80s, but so kind of badass. It fit well with Hjörtur's long leather jacket, I thought. And it really reminded me of, again, the people who were involved, I think, Steinthor at least, in Cop Secret. There's a great kind of metal or rock version of an old Icelandic song in the trailer for Cop Secret. I can't remember if it's in the film, but it was the same kind of feeling, that song. And I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I really liked that moment, actually.
So you said that there were 3 main sequences you thought were mentioned. What's the third?
Well, I guess it's 4th now we've talked about the old sucking Blyer dry. So it's the scene comes very quickly after this. They lose Hulda's brother. And guess where he goes? He goes home to see Mum.
And eat her intestines for dinner.
Yeah, pretty much. She doesn't cook him dinner. She is the dinner. And I love that shot where Jens stumbles into the living room and he's just there with a knife and fork at her chest, just,
sitting down to dinner like he's eating his sausage and mash.
Yeah, I love that. I thought it was properly creepy. Yeah. Shades of like Hannibal Lecter or things like that.
And from that point on, it's basically all out mayhem, right?
Pretty much. There's that great moment where Jens gets his cross out after he's been bitten by Hulda's brother, sticks it on his forehead, and, it's not expensive CGI, but I think it looks brilliant.
It's like the classic Indiana Jones
melting face.
Nazis, or the Holy Grail guy that turns to dust.
Yeah.
So those terrifying images from my childhood. The kind of reduced to ash.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
Very much so. It's amazing. There's probably quite a lot of budget gone into that, but totally worth it because it was a great death and it looked very, very effective. Yeah, and like you say, from there on, it's like, right, well, we've got rid of the zombie vampires. That's one thing. But you know what? Jens's daughter, who we've not mentioned, has come back from, I want to say Denmark.
I don't know, and I
Who knows?
don't care, to be honest.
But she's trying to do something, and Hjörtur is the key, and they capture Hjörtur, try and televise it.
Mayhem ensues. Different people get bitten, people can become vampires, other people are trying to kill the vampires, sacrifice humans.
What other vampires are there?
Jens becomes a vampire.
Oh my god, he does.
Thank you very much. So there's the crazy religious fanatics basically versus vampires and allies, I guess, at the end.
Yeah.
But everybody it's just a big old melee.
Yeah, and it's so that scene when Hjörtur kills all of the cult people is amazing. He's just there slicing and dicing and
more ridiculous CGI as well.
More ridiculous CGI, tons more blood, probably practical, a lot of that blood. And it just all, kicks off, and it's quite a lot. And let's not forget the moment when Jens's daughter drills through her mum's eye. And it goes on for ages. It's not particularly graphic, but bloody hell, it goes right down to that black bit that holds the drill bit in.
Oh, see, I have to look away at all these moments, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, wow. Well, I would suggest never watching a film called The Sadness then.
Oh.
Which is extreme in the extreme. But yeah, this film, that all happens. Hjörtur, slices her head off, peels her face off. Like, again, I'm not sure you can just, pull a face down like it's a latex mask.
You can if you're a vampire.
I guess so. And then the police turn up, finally. Not sure how they got there. And that's it. Is that it?
Pretty much. The bloodbath's over. I think just don't worry too much about the plot and who's doing what. It's all about whose eyeballs getting squeezed or whose head's getting ripped into, really, isn't it, this film?
Yeah, I'm trying too hard to remember what happens, but actually I was just, overwhelmed by the gore and the blood, for which it is highly recommended. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess there we go. Oh, can I just say, Halldóra was in this one too. As was Ingvar Sigurðsson. In a blink and you'll miss it cameo. But you know what? Always good to see him.
Always good to see him. I thought he was going to... I mean, he's in the first sequence. Mm-hmm. I thought he was going to be a bit more involved than he turned out.
Imagine if he'd just been the Jens character.
Oh,
this would have been an entirely different film. Elevated by his performance, no doubt.
No doubt. But
alas, we get a fleeting glimpse of him and a reminder that this is not a white day. So there you go. It hatched. Thirst. The only other horror films from Iceland that I'm aware of. Very much B-movies. Check them out if you can. Will you be returning to these?
I've got to wash my hair next Halloween. I'm a bit busy.
Gotta get the blood out.
Yeah.
Okay. Happy Halloween, Ellie.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Crikey. After 3.5 series looking at Icelandic film, I did not see most of that coming. Least of all that hot dog. How will I ever eat another 3 Bæjarins Bestu Pulsa again? But I love that there's a burgeoning horror scene and that filmmakers are trying all sorts of stuff and getting it out there. I'm already looking forward to more. If you do watch these for Halloween, let us know on social media where we're at Kvikmyndapod. That's KVIKMYNDAPOD on Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget you can subscribe or follow us wherever you get your podcasts. If you could leave us a rating and or review on Spotify and Apple, that'd be amazing. Next week, we're dropping a mini-sode that Ellie and I recorded the week after heading to the London Film Festival, where we had the privilege of watching Hlínar Pálmason's next film, Godland, on the big screen. This will be a spoiler-free chat, so don't worry about trying to find the film before its release in the UK next spring. Have a hell of a Halloween. See you next week. Tack och bless. Thanks and goodbye.